Your character is magic-able. Magicable. Magicked. They got's the gift. But when should they use that said magic in such a way that would ease the concerns of Jeff Goldblum's portrayal of Jurassic Park's Dr. Ian Malcolm? We'll tell you when on Attack on Table. Welcome to Attack on Table. We did one episode where we were professional for Matthew, but now me and Ryan are not going to be getting along. And I'm not going to be using proper grammar or anything. Magic. Tell us about it, Ryan.
We're not doing the rest of the intro.
Nope.
We are.
You screwed it up last time.
If you guys, no, I didn't screw up nothing. You screwed it up. If you guys are interested to see how we use the magic of our creativity, go to the channel and check out our WOWs. That's what we call poetry section. That's where we take my poems or poems of other creators and turn it into songs for fun. Yeah, and you guys like that? You want to support the channel? Strike the like.
Not this time.
What
are we talking about today, Ryan?
We're talking about magic, its appropriate use. When should you use it? Why should you use it? Who should be using it?
Does it belong in your story at all?
We'll find out. Matthew, our guest, is back. Matthew Siadak. Wonderful to have you again. I think the best way we can start this off is by asking you a question that only you can answer. Should we outlaw magic?
Of course. If you were asking the paladin, to me, no. That's the stuff of dreams.
Stuff of dreams. Only if we lived in a world where magic didn't exist.
I bet it'd be great. There'd be flying cars by 2020. Yeah, I would prefer a world where magic existed. For a little bit of context for everybody who's listening who did not watch your original interview video, you want to talk a little bit about the scenario with magic in the Backwards Night, in the world you created?
Certainly. In the Backwards Night, you have a world where two things are going on. First, magic and those who use it has been outlawed. But more importantly, magic has also been banished and locked away. And it's returning in fits and gasps, which comes with its own consequences. But for the most part, if you're caught using magic, if you're caught bearing one of the marks of magic, the paladin and his minions or his elf are going to come for you, and it's not going to end well.
Okay. And we wanted to kind of have you on for this sort of an episode because there's a really strong element of like using that magic as a world building, even though it's outlawed. That gives it importance to your story, especially every time it shows up, because it should not be there by rights of the legal system or whatever, that the paladin said, I can't do it, so no one else is allowed. So when writing the use of magic in your story, how did you decide when it was an appropriate time to use magic? How did you decide when it wasn't a good idea for your characters? And how did you use it to help build the world around them?
So starting it off, you have a farm boy marked by magic at the beginning of the book. And that's one of the first characters you meet is Golf, your hapless farm boy marked by magic. And I realized through the process of drafting and redrafting and editing that I ended up treating magic, while it's not a character or sentient, but magic remembers.
Okay.
So magic, though it's been outlawed and it's returning to the world, it's seeking the connection that people once had with it because it remembers that. And for me, as Golf was going on his journey being marked by magic, when his emotions flared, it allowed him to bond that much more with the magic that he got marked by. And magic would show him things, and he would try to understand what it meant, but obviously there's an imperfect connection there.
Okay.
And because most of magic and its knowledge has been lost, he had no idea.
Do you have any characters in your story that use magic intentionally, or is it just Golf?
It's mainly just him. There are other characters who have been marked, and there is actually one character, William, who works for the Paladin, that uses a magical artifact to seal a town that's being beset upon by a mage.
Okay.
Which in this instance is Golf, because magic comes with a certain level of corruption to it, because magic, with it returning, it has a problem. But William works with Layla, and they work for the Paladin, who hunts down those now marked by magic. And they drag them back to the Paladin. So he wields an artifact that can basically seal off an area and contain any magic inside of it, and keep those using it from being able to flee. And he does so and hates it, because the Paladin teaches all of his people to hate it, but it's a necessary evil.
I think it's a good rule of thumb that any magic you're using while world building, or that is a part of your world, shouldn't be grander than the magic you're using to advance the plot, or to have characters like. I don't even feel like you should have your characters use magic to solve problems. I feel like that's just lazy writing, but
Unless they do it creatively.
Yeah, I mean, if magic's available, to any kind of a degree, like I have no problem with. Go back to Harry Potter. I have no problem with Gandalf lighting pine cones on fire to throw at orcs, or orc wolves, or whatever they were called. Like, that doesn't bother me. And it's solving it's not really, it didn't really solve the problem, but he was doing his best. But
He's doing his best.
Gandalf doing his best.
Doing his best.
Slap
that
that on the
a
boat.
t-shirt.
Yep, slap it on the boat that he rides to the west. He tried.
Yeah. The SS doing his best.
But what I'm saying is like, it doesn't have to be super duper special every time it happens. It can be. It sounds like magic is really, really limited in the Backwards Night, the world. It's not something everybody gets their hands on. And it sounds like its usage is incredibly restrictive. You have to have a magical item, or you have to be marked by magic, in which case any kind of emotional flare-up could theoretically make something happen.
Right.
I like that limitation. I like that sort of speciality to it, and I think that keeps it special. It keeps it front of mind. You said, Ryan, that magic in the background shouldn't be grander, or magic in the world shouldn't be grander than what's being used to advance the plot, and I would just echo that by saying it shouldn't be throwaway or background motion, because then it's not serving your story, in my mind.
Well, I don't have a problem with it being background stuff. You just have to question, like, what you're like. So if we've been talking about Harry Potter a lot, so like if we stick in the world of Harry Potter, something that's in the background that makes so little sense to me, that almost feels overpowered, is living paintings. The essentially the fact that you could take a picture or paint a picture, and now it has like magical properties, and it's living and can serve as like a security guard or a camera, is crazy that it has never been utilized. And to me, it's just like,
right,
this is wasted opportunities for this stuff.
There's a network.
I mean, in fact, they even illustrate it once. It's like something happened, and like they show up, and one of the paintings, like, he went that way, and it's like, how is that not utilized more in the world of Harry Potter?
But it is.
And that's kind of what I'm saying. It's like, when you have this thing that's really intricate and can be useful in the background, but it's just never done so, it feels like a missed opportunity. Or it creates this question in the reader's head of like, well, why aren't they like, they could just do that, or have, like, instead of paying guards, you could just have living paintings. Like, you're not running the risk of people actually dying if your sentries are just paintings.
Yeah. And I think that just to like go piggyback off of what you're saying, and there was one geez, where something happened to someone in Dumbledore's chambers, and they had the paintings go tell the other paintings that were at somebody else's house entirely as a warning system. It's a network for communication as well. A lot of things could have been solved that people typically don't even think about by utilizing these paintings more. Are you making the argument that them being there pulls the reader out because there could have been problems solved using
I don't
them?
want to say it pulls that particular instance that I'm talking about. I don't think it pulls the readers out, but it does create this like when you have magic of that ilk, it does start to create questions of like, well, why didn't they same thing like when they created the time turner and put that in there? It just became a series of, well, why didn't they just use this item that really exists in the world?
Go back to Tom Riddle's crib.
Yeah, it's just like we have this magic that's just kind of constant, and it's like, well, why don't we do this or do that? And it just creates a series of questions. And so when you put magic in the background, it shouldn't be, you should kind of think of its application, in my opinion, just because it can create undue plot holes that never should have really existed, and probably in an honest assessment don't actually exist. But enough bored people on the internet can make them exist pretty quickly.
It feels like you're
similar.
Oh, go ahead, Matt.
Similar to the giant eagles. Like everybody asks, why didn't they just ride the giant eagles? Well, there's rules to it, but it's one of those things that people might ask those questions. So I think I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah. And I think it's just a good rule of thumb to just kind of keep, like, I feel like magic should exist in the background, especially in a super magical world. It does help kind of create that emphasis, but just kind of be careful on the things you're creating and take a few minutes to just think about its real world application.
Yeah.
Right. And they have to fit to serve the plot and not just be there like, oh, look what I can do.
Or if you're doing that stuff, figure out a way to kind of include it into the plot and things that are happening, because then it's cool. To the conversation we were having earlier, where I said I think it's lazy writing with certain aspects of like problem solving. I want to correct that on the record just a little bit. I love creative magic use. I don't love creative magic. Right? Like if you have very limited spell casting ability and you figure out a way to do a thing that allows you to do another thing so that you can trick someone to do, get that kind of stuff is awesome. It's real cerebral. It's headsy. But just be like, oh, I whipped up this cool spell and it achieves the thing we want it to. Just, to me, that feels super lazy,
right?
Especially in comparison to the other way.
Why has nobody ever done that before?
Yeah, and then it creates that question.
Yeah.
Well, I'll throw my own story into the ring here. One of the problems with the world that I have and where the magic went is that magic, under certain parameters, magic is available to everyone, and the government knows that it is a problem if anyone can use it for anything. Therefore, there is an entire department of the government that is basically out there to patrol and sort of contain magic from being utilized in any kind of no way. And the issue is obviously it's the government, so it's not going to be, they can't be everywhere. But that kind of concern of what will people dream up and do with it, the only way I could put some kind of a constriction on that as the author was to make it a muscle that needed to be worked out eventually and then give it to everybody at the same time. So there would be a climb there where not everybody would be able to do everything right away.
Not everybody could be a bodybuilder.
Exactly. You didn't start off with muscles. Everybody started off like me.
Well, both you and Matthew have written kind of we'll call it like a censored magical world.
In very different ways, yeah.
Yeah. But you guys, so do you guys? Is it your stance, or you just like the story you wrote? Is it your stance that like you would prefer a low magic world, or do you guys like the idea of reading or diving into a high magic society?
I love high magic societies, and I think I mentioned this on the last the interview we did. But I had with the Backwards Night, I wanted to tackle certain tropes, and I wanted to subvert them and make them my own. And one of them is, in a lot of fantasy series, you have the faction that hates magic. They want to do away with it. And what I wanted to run with is what happens if that faction wins. I'm actually brainstorming prequels for the Backwards Night where I have a fully fleshed out magic system in the world before the Paladin took control. I had to do that to figure out what happens to magic once the Paladin locks it away. So I had to build it up so he could tear it down. So I eventually plan on visiting a fully magical world. So I like this conversation because it helps me think of how I want to tackle that.
Well, let me give you one example that I'm excited to see someone write, because I feel like people do like high magic societies, but I feel like they always do them like the, what dreams may come kind of vibe, where it's like everything's perfect. I imagine like a truly high magic society is going to look closer to like the starship in Wall-E, where everyone's just like fat and being like catered to for their every whim, and they don't know how to like lift their own food into their mouths because they have all this magic.
I can see
that.
that.
If there's no kind of a physical or mental toll to using magic, like Harry Potter magic. I've never seen anybody pant from casting too many spells in Harry Potter. It's just you might get carpal tunnel. Like that I don't care for. We've already done the talk, about what cost or no cost magic, and that I'm a fan of high cost magic, because if you're not going to limit what people can do, you should be able to limit, I think, how much they can do it.
Right.
And as far as like the whole high magic society and everything, like it in the world I wrote, the society is relatively akin to what we would imagine it to be today. Technology is stunted because they had magic for 40 years, 20 years ago, and then it disappeared. And it comes back in a trickle, and then it comes back in a flood. But the problem is everybody starts, when that flood rushes back, everybody starts at square one. They got time to prepare for censoring that magic, like you mentioned, Ryan. But I guess if I'm writing a story about a high magic society and everything, I would really be careful about what does the magic do? What can you create from nothing? What can you, like, is it limited by your imagination or whatever? Because that kind of stuff is dangerous, because you have to imagine what everybody in your world would imagine. And I feel like that's a big undertaking. And it opens yourself up to those questions where suddenly somebody's invented a time turner or a bunch of magical pictures network and everything. So that's where limitations and cost on using magic should come in, if it's not going to be restricted by some other means.
I agree with that. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead and you finish.
I was going to say I agree with that, and that's part of what I see my magic system as being, that yes, you can think of anything, but at the very beginning, magic is undefined. Right? You can take with it and do whatever you want, but magic is like a force of nature. If you try to wrestle the power of a storm, not knowing what you're doing, there's going to be a problem. And through use of magic, you kind of carve out a channel, like, I'm going to use magic to do this. Well, then somebody else comes along and says, I'm going to use magic to do that same thing. It's a little bit easier. And so forth and so on. The more people use it in the same way, it kind of defines how magic can behave.
Yeah. Ryan?
Yeah. I kind of actually want to backpedal to something you said, Sean, just a little bit, in order for us to kind of move into this next category we were kind of talking about, because when you first created it, I didn't really understand what you meant by it, the magic for character purposes. But when you were talking about like wizards in Harry Potter, like not losing their breath or anything from all the spells they're casting, it actually made me think of something that I think would be interesting to see more of, because there seems to be a giant lack of, which is like the toll of, for lack of a better term, of war on a wizard and spellcasters. And it's like, that would be great for character development, in which like spells are being flung left and right. There's so much opportunity that's rife for failure, for especially when you have like a verbal component to your spell casting. Why is everyone involved speaking perfectly in these moments where, you know, lizards are being summoned and explosions are going off and people are being killed? Everyone's just able to, you know, iterate their magic word perfectly. There's no hesitation to it. Their aim is perfect. You know, there's none of this stuff that would like rattle a soldier,
right,
who's trained for a good portion of their life to engage in battle, that would still get rattled.
Like somebody casting a spell and gets scared and they flub a word, and all of a sudden it has completely unintended consequences.
Yeah, exactly. You know, things of that nature, I think, should be kind of illustrated more in, especially these more serious. I don't want to necessarily say like grim dark, but like just a more serious situation when you have like wizards fighting. Fear should be a component. It should be an issue that, you know, you have to deal with, and I think that kind of works in the favor, that utilization or failure thereof kind of works in the favor of building your character or showing, you know, your character's resolve in those moments.
And depending on how magic's used, and if you can even combat against it, mages can tend to be cocksure as well. Like, nobody can touch me. I can hit you before you even get close to me.
Yep.
Or the opposite, where it's just like, why isn't there any awe? Like, I know we all live in a magical society, but surely some wizard can fire some spell off that's just, you're just be like, wow. You know, you're just be you're like, good God. You know, like we get that way with fireworks.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Well, go back to Harry Potter. I hate the unforgivable curses. I think they're dumber than shit, because you just have to know the words to be able to kill somebody, and then they're just teaching them that in school. Like, hey, you bunch of 12-year-olds.
What happens if you just get really mad? Like, a 12-year-old's going to have an anger problem, and they're going to say that on accident.
I think for the whole talk about like using magic as like a world building technique, either name a restriction on magic. There should be something. I don't think that anybody would be able to successfully write a story where magic is running around as free, like just as uninterpretable and as freelance and as plentiful as, you know, birds in the sky.
Have you read the Magician series by Lev Grossman?
I have not.
Okay, it's basically exactly what you just described.
That
magic is plentiful.
Awful.
It's actually in a good way, in a very depressing way. Because what if you had all the magic in the world and it couldn't solve your very human problems?
Yeah.
Well, then
or they end up making them worse.
Yes.
But so there are limitations. So I think what Sean, I don't know, I can't really speak for Sean, but the point I was getting from what he was saying as far as limitations, it's not necessarily, limitations doesn't necessarily equal cost.
No, right.
Yeah, limitations just means like there's
getting winded, getting tired.
Or not everyone has it.
Right.
You know, some people have it, some people don't. It's
or
not
there's a consequence to using it, like you get exiled or executed or something. Like,
or a training requirement, like you have to build up your ability to cast spells.
I think it would be very, very difficult to write something without any of that.
Right.
And
that makes sense.
Unless you were doing a comedy of some kind, I don't think a full-fledged magical society would be interesting without a great deal of creative, like, setup,
fantasy
and explanation.
Like a Harry Potter comedy parody coming to you soon.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, if you like, it would take magic as a system and not as the arcane. So superpowers are technically magic. So if you have a whole world of Supermen, just the most mundane task that we understand, and I don't want to say mundane, but like we'll say like a contractor. All right, that's one person now. No longer needs a foreman. Can do the job inside of 20 seconds. It doesn't matter how tall the building is. So it's like, well, is this guy being paid for 8 hours of work?
Are you saying he
You know,
doesn't
what's
deserve 8 hours?
Does
of work?
insurance exist anymore? Right? Like, you get what I'm saying? It's like when
Starting
you start
to like this world.
when you make this world as powerful as everything, and everyone's exactly the same level, it just becomes like a question of like, well, how absurd can we make things?
Yeah.
Because a lot of things aren't going to be the same.
Right.
Yeah, and there's no
The
reason.
scale is off.
Yeah.
The scale is
So-
another thing that's really important to kind of try to rein your story in. There's just a level of absurdity that you should avoid, because otherwise everything's going to look like I can't get to the next page that I'm writing without making up some bullshit spell to get, past this step of conflict in my story. I'm just going to make it up as I go. And there's just not a whole lot that's really artistic about that. It turns into little kids on the playground who are making up like, oh, I've got this superpower. Like, oh, well, too bad I've got this superpower.
I got this. Yeah.
Yeah, it just
My
back
dad
and
has
forth.
laser vision.
Oh, my dad's laser vision is way better than your dad's laser vision.
Yeah, it just becomes a mess, and it's not, like I said, unless it's built for comedy, I don't really see it being interesting.
Yeah. I think we've really hit on the world building and the plot and everything, and a touch of characters, but there is one character aspect that shows up in a lot of magical stories that I really don't care for, and it's the Chosen One archetype. I don't like it. Why are you better than everybody else? Why did Harry survive the death, the Avada Kedavra curse twice? He shouldn't have, by rights. Mom's love magic was gone the second time, and I don't know.
You don't understand how powerful love magic is, Sean.
You're right.
No one does. It has no limit.
I agree with you. The Chosen One trope, again, 9 times out of 10, it's boring and overdone. Every once in a while, you'll find that one that happens to pull it off, subvert it, or shake things up, so it's a fresh take on it.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
you
like,
both were
Brandon-
talking. No, go ahead, Ryan.
Well, I was going to say Brandon Sanderson came at it with the concept of like, I wanted to do the Chosen One arc, but he won and then stayed there in power long enough to become the bad guy,
Right?
And then now he's the problem.
Yep.
And you were both talking before we got going with the episode about a different kind of archetype that Ryan, you called it the created one, where somebody was made into the role of the person, the fixer, that makes it better.
Yeah. Essentially,
Sure.
in one of my stories, I had this like unparalleled person that was just like really powerful in comparative to like normal humans, and I didn't want to make him like, oh, he's been chosen, so I came up with this concept that like he is the way he is through repeated recreation that he is unaware of, and it's just like all the strength and power and knowledge he gained in his previous state is then absorbed into the new state, and it's just that process repeated over and over and over until it's just like, yeah, he's unstoppable now. He can basically do whatever he wants. But it's like that's something that was cultivated, not just like he was born that way, kind of thing.
Yeah, just 'cause.
Well, it was more or less he was actually born to be created into that.
Yeah, and I have zero qualms with that, and I even would go so far like Harry Potter gets called the Chosen One, but he is not. He is more of a created one. Go back to that prophecy or whatever, and the fact that depending on who Voldemort decided was going to be the one of the two babies born that night, he could have gone and killed Neville Longbottom's parents, and then Neville Longbottom would have been the chosen one. But he picked Harry. Harry Potter was guided towards, and his entire life was basically affected into being in the spot. So I'm not picking on that so much. I see Harry Potter as more of is Brash? Is that the character you're talking about?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Then I see him more as a Brash than Anakin Skywalker. He's the chosen one, just because we were due for one. And because if the Sith were going to corrupt a chosen one, they couldn't do that without a chosen one, and therefore he couldn't bring balance to the Force. I don't.
Well, to make a correction, it was not Luke Skywalker, it was Anakin.
That's what I said.
Did you say Anakin?
Yeah,
I heard Anakin.
Thanks for
I've been
wasting
drinking.
everybody's time, Ryan.
I'll just
I've been
get back
drinking.
to this.
All right, well, moron. Yeah, but no, I mean,
I heard you say Skywalker, and I just assumed you were wrong.
thanks for reiterating your incorrectness. I appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, he strikes me more as like a chosen one that just kind of came out of the blue just because the universe demanded it, the Force needed it for the plot, and I don't...
For the balance, yeah.
Yeah, but creating him in the first place gave the Sith a goal to imbalance things. Like, in my mind, the way I kind of look things over, and like, sure, you don't have a story if you don't have a chosen one or whatever in that particular case, but that's the kind of chosen one that I take issue with. I think the chosen ones should be created ones. And Matthew, you said that you had a character that was more or less that created one, somebody who stepped into the role, right?
I do.
Okay.
And like I said, I like subverting tropes. So the backwards knight, you have the young plucky farm boy who gets marked by magic. That's the typical chosen one trope, right? But you come to find out he's not the only one who's been marked. Magic, as it escapes from where it's been locked away, it's trying to reconnect with people. So it's marking any poor sod it comes across.
Okay.
So at the level you have those chosen ones, but I'm not going to go too much into this because it's getting into book 3 spoilers. But by the time you get to book 3, you realize, one, who the real chosen one is.
Okay.
And who the created one is.
The created one. Okay. So Gulf, in the meantime, just has to be the coolest chosen one.
Right. Burning down a couple villages. That's pretty darn cool.
Everybody has their trial period where...
Right? Everybody goes through magic puberty.
Yeah, of course. There's hair growing in weird places. Villages are burning down. Like
Fire coming out of your hands,
your voice changes. All that stuff.
When, like, it kind of bleeds into Chosen One, where it's like, your ability to access certain magics is so different and special comparative to everyone else that that feels like a tired trope, and it's kind of boring. The only time I feel like acceptable is like when you have like a weaker type of magic and it becomes more of like your creative use on that weaker form to outdo the more powerful.
And that makes me think of when we were mentioning that earlier, the creative use of magic, and I think somebody mentioned Sanderson in the Mistborn trilogy. The second trilogy, I forget the name of it, they take down one of the bad guys because somebody with the weakest power figures out an ingenious way of using it. And that was the ability to slow down time in a bubble. And they did that while they were fighting the bad guy to give the rest of the police force a chance to catch up to them and actually bring a lot of people to bear to take this guy down. Huh. And to me, you have a useless ability. I can slow down time around myself. It runs at normal speed for me, but it's a lot slower than the outside world. What's the use of that? If I can't slow down time everywhere, why do I want time to go slower around me if I'm in a crappy situation?
Yeah. And
I like that.
And I love Patrick Rothfuss, but like in The Name of the Wind, like that character, he gains access to like naming magic, which is like this ancient,
everything.
Yeah, forgotten thing, and it's just like, yeah, okay, it's cool magic, but it's just I don't know. It feels, I don't want to call it lazy because it's not lazy. You do have to like really kind of come up with an interesting magic. It just feels like a cheap setup. Kind of like, well, I don't want to say trite, but like you just kind of wake up and you're starting 100 miles in front of everyone else, and you're like, oh, I better start running this race.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, okay.
Yeah.
And yet we still don't have book 3. It kills me.
You were talking about creative use of magic or whatever, and for John Constantine came to mind, and I veering into comic books and everything, but he's got no special powers. He just knows several encyclopedias worth of spells, and using them creatively and quick-wittedly helps him stay, keep toe-to-toe, keep step with the Justice League, and in a lot of storylines. And I always thought that was a very interesting thing. Like, just the pure adaptability kind of goes with your time bubble fighter guy. I haven't read those books, so time bubble fighter guy.
Yeah, I would say, unlike a magical counterpart, like where Doctor Strange is like all knowing and all powerful, Constantine is more of like his cunning is what's more dangerous than his ability to cast spells.
Yeah.
And I think that makes him a more interesting character.
Think his way out
Agreed.
of a pinch. Yeah, I think that as an author, everybody has a wide array of different ways to be creative and unique with the way that they write their magic, how people use it, when and where and how and use it. I think that there should be some kind of limitation on it. Whether you put that limitation societally, physically, emotionally, mentally, whatever you want to do, or just even randomly, is like who has access to it. That limitation should be there. And then when and where you use it should follow those rules and not step outside of them. Like Golf, does he ever use magic when he's not in an emotional frame of mind, for example?
He does, and it's the first time magic comes to him and teaches him how to use it.
Okay.
He's sitting around a campfire with his friends, and somebody forgot to bring the tinder twigs to start the fire, and he's like, well, I don't really want this night it's still kind of emotional, but it's not like a flare of anger or anything. Like, he's like, I don't want this time with my friends to end because we can't have a campfire. And magic kind of responds to that and says, okay, here's how you can conjure fire from your hands. And he uses that, scares the living out of his friends because, they know magic's bad. They've been raised this way. And here he's, what the hell are you doing, my dude? But he does it, and it kicks off a nice conversation between all of them.
Okay. So it's almost like a learning example, though, for him.
Yes.
Like, it was something he could not do, and then he learned, and he could do it afterwards. Is he able to do that from then on out in the story?
Yes. He gets into a fist fight with the mayor's son's meat shield. The mayor's son is a bully, and he, young or small kid has a bigger kid with him, and the bigger kid ends up pushing him into a fight, and Golf unleashes mad fire from his hands in the middle of the fight. That flare of temper. I got this power inside of me. It's reacting to my emotions. It needs to go somewhere, and right out the hands.
Well, that doesn't feel like it was intentional, but it is a skill that he has.
Intentional. A lot of it is not intentional. It shows him how to do things, and as you come to find out, magic's corrupted, and it's trying to help him, but at the same time, there's something inside of it that's twisting every intention it has as well.
Okay.
So it's not quite, he's not learning to become a spellcaster. He's reacting, and magic is starting to take over his body.
So almost having to learn to regulate his emotions so he doesn't do
Yes.
something he doesn't want to do.
Right.
A Jedi, not a Sith. Fire Jedi. I don't know.
That's pre Yoda training Jedi.
Yeah. Well, what about everybody else? Scribbles and scratches. If you have a magic system limitation or a time where you should not use magic, or times where characters don't use magic and you think they should, put it down in the comments. Everybody, Semper Scribe. Take that away from Ryan so we can't say it in a little while. Matthew, do you want to plug your stories one more time, where people can follow you and where they can find your books?
Certainly. You can find me on almost every social media platform as Backwards Night. Threads, Instagram, Blue Sky, YouTube. I even do some Twitch streams as Mr. Lost. I have the Backwards Night, a classic fantasy adventure with eldritch horror undertones, and the Dark Side of Super, an interconnected collection of dark, gritty, superpowered shorts available pretty much anywhere you can find books, including signed copies through me. With swag, and currently in audiobook form too. I did a Kickstarter or backer kit for that last year, released it earlier this year. So if you like to listen, you can find it anywhere you get audiobooks from. And if you do follow me, I will be doing another backer kit later this year for The Forgotten Princess, sequel to The Backwards Night. I'm getting ready to hand that back to my editor to wrap up the developmental edits round 1 this week.
Oh, nice. Well,
and if you guys
shut up, Brian. We hope to have you back on the show.
up.
You shut up. I'm talking to Matthew. We hope to have you back on the show whenever you do release that. That'd be really exciting. All right.
And if you guys want to learn
Ryan.
more about, if you guys want to learn more about Matthew's book, go on to our channel in our list there, and find his interview. We also have other author interviews in there. Check those out. And as always, Sean, one final question. How do we end these?
Magically.